Hello, this is Charles, and we are about to start on Chapter 3 of Going Home. Just a quick recap. Chapter 2 saw Nathan and Myrtle disembark from New Jersey and start heading west. They've now made it into Pennsylvania, and Myrtle has just kind of dropped that she would like to visit Mount Rushmore on the way. So that's where we are. They're still heading west, and we will find out what happens next in Chapter 3 coming up. Chapter 3. As Nathan pulled out of the Flying J and headed south on I-81, his grandmother asked him, "How much farther are you planning on driving today?" "Another 8 hours, give or take, if we don't get held up by any road delays." "So we'll be stopping by 8. Do we have a room yet? You haven't mentioned that detail." "My friend Mark is expecting us. He has a couple extra bedrooms." "Mark?" "We went to grade school together before I moved in with you and Grandpa. He has a house in the north side of Cincinnati. They don't have kids yet, so they've got the extra space." "So Mark's married?" "Yep. He married Evelyn. They've been dating since they were about 12 years old." "How about you, Nate? Is there a young lady I need to know about?" "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know? Either there is or there isn't." "Well, I'm not sure." "What do you mean you're not sure?" "There's this girl at work. I'm interested, but you know how awkward I get around girls. I never know what to say." "Tell me about her. Is she pretty?" "Yeah, very. But it's more than that. It's the way she behaves, so respectful with everyone. Please and thank you and sir and ma'am. All that old-fashioned stuff. But with her, it doesn't seem old-fashioned. She was born in another country, so that might explain it." "What country is she from?" "Tanzania. She came here with her parents when she was around 2. Seems that people from there don't raise their kids the same. She just comes across as so proper and graceful and well-mannered." "You're definitely interested. What are you going to do about it?" "Yeah, I'm probably more than interested. Also frustrated. I hear other women talking about how some guy is coming on too fast and they don't like that. So I had this idea that I have to be the opposite. Get to know someone really well and then see where it goes. Only problem is, someone always beats me to the punch. So which way is it? Why do women complain about guys moving too fast, but they always end up with those guys? It's too confusing." "Well, honey, let me let you in on a little secret. You're partly right and partly mistaken. As a woman, I might know a little thing or two. Pardon me for being a little crude, but we don't like the guy who is moving so fast because he just wants into your pants. You meet those kinds in the bars and clubs, and he seems really interested, and you can just tell the only thing he's thinking about is getting you home and into bed as fast as possible. We don't like that type. At least no respectable girl does. So when you hear your female friends complaining, that's the kind of guy they're complaining about. But let me tell you something else, though. In my day, and it's probably not changed much since then, women are thinking long term. They aren't looking for the one night stand, at least not all of them, but a man they can think about going the distance with. And women have that ticking clock in the back of their minds. If a guy doesn't make a move in that direction fast enough, some other guy will. If you're interested in this girl, you have to throw your hat in the ring before some other young man does. Time's a wasting, dear." "So I've been going about it all wrong?" "What kind of results have you seen?" Uh, exactly. You're trying to get a hit without swinging the bat. Doesn't work that way. Anyway, what's the worst thing that can happen if you ask her out?" "She'll say no." "Exactly. But how is that any different than where you are right now?" "Yeah, good point. Just always figured a friendship would kind of grow to that point." "You are one naive young man, let me tell you. When I met your grandfather, I knew right then and there this was the man I wanted. I thought he was interested in me, but he was a lot like you. Shy to a fault. I waited for 3 months and he would never ask me out. Most girls would have moved on, and I had my chances. I had other suitors at the time, but I had my heart set on him. So what happened? I assume he eventually asked you out. I approached one of his teammates on the football team and told him I was interested. The word was passed and he asked me out a week later. Oh, things moved rather fast after that. But I'm not even sure how to go about it, what to say or anything. Don't worry too much about that or how awkward you are. What matters is that you take the step. She might not be as patient as I was. You have to make the move. I guess you're right. I just wish it was easier. This radio station still good? Sure, just don't change it as fast as you change the subject. Myrtle opened her journal and began to write, and Nathan drove on, down 81, across 70 to 68, and up and down the picturesque mountains of Maryland and West Virginia. He found the miles going by rapidly as he contemplated what his grandmother had told him. Maybe she knew more about relationships than he did. Then again, most people did. He thought he knew his grandma. He had lived with her for 4 years, but they never really spent this much time in conversation. Of course, Grandpa was around then, and he took a lot of time trying to teach Nathan how to play golf and fish, 2 hobbies that he never took an interest in. His mind wandered back to his parents again. His dad was a good man, but when he thought back on his childhood, he realized how little he really knew his dad. Dad had worked a lot of hours and came home late often. When he was there, it was great, but he just wasn't there enough. He wasn't a bad father by any means. He was a good provider, and he would manage to take some time off each year for them to do something as a family. They went to baseball games together, actually a lot of baseball games, since Dad was a serious sports fan. Dad put the fan in fanatic. Nathan was only 2 years old when the Reds last won the World Series, but Dad told him so much about it that he felt almost like he had been there. Well, he had been there actually, since his parents had tickets for Game 2 and couldn't find a babysitter. He thought about Dad and Grandpa, how alike they were and how much he loved them both, and how he missed them both. He had never really told his dad what he meant to him. Being shy and an age where you didn't get overly mushy with your parents, a lot had remained unsaid, and his dad had been taken from him by a drunk driver. Now he was the age where he realized the importance of saying what needed to be said, and the opportunity was gone. At least he had seen Grandpa's death coming, and hadn't let the opportunity pass. These thoughts and his grandmother's frantic writing took them almost to West Virginia, where they stopped at yet another truck stop and filled the gas tank, answered the call of nature, and then proceeded. The drive through West Virginia was breathtaking. It had been years since Nathan was on this highway, and that time he was 12 years old riding in the back seat while his father drove. He appreciated the scenery more now than he had then, and the road rolled on, mile after breathtaking mile. Before he knew it, they had passed Morgantown, and he was taking I-79 north to I-70. He went past towns he vaguely remembered, regretting not paying more attention when he was younger. The miles and the hours rolled by in a blur, with his thoughts ranging from his parents and all he still wanted to tell them, to Phoebe and what he hoped he would be able to tell her, to his grandmother who was still sitting in the passenger seat writing her life story, or whatever it was she was so urgent to write down. He determined then not to make the same mistake that he had made with his parents. Grandma? You say something? I love you. I appreciate everything you and Grandpa did for me. Just wanted you to know that. Well, that was certainly out of the blue, she thought to herself, and out loud. It's nice of you to say that. I love you too. Always have. You're a good grandson, but all grandmas think that of their grandsons. Maybe so. I couldn't have a better grandma, though. Myrtle contemplated what Nathan had just said, wondered what prompted him to come out with that all of a sudden, and figured that maybe it was a good sign. She looked over at him, and once again he appeared to be in a different place, so deep in thought he was. He really is a contemplative boy, she thought to herself. Takes it after me, I guess. 4 hours later, 4 hours that seemed like about 20 minutes due to an unplanned nap that took her by surprise, Myrtle looked up to notice that the car was stopped in a parking space in front of Dick's Sporting Goods. Where are we? She asked. We're in Fairfield, just a few minutes from Mark's house. That was fast. When I last looked up, we were barely in Ohio. Well, you were out like a light. I was just inspecting my eyelids for holes. Ha ha. I'll have to remember that one. Why are we stopped at this place? We need to do some shopping. I can't think of anything I need from here. You need some new clothes. I have plenty of clothes packed. I can't think of anything else I need. You need something to wear to this, Nathan said as he fished the folded up pieces of paper out of his pocket and handed them to her. She unfolded the papers and saw 2 tickets for the Cincinnati Reds versus the Chicago Cubs for the following afternoon. She just stared at them for a moment. She had grown up not far from here before she went away to college and had followed her beloved Reds all those years since, although from afar. She hadn't attended a game in Cincinnati in nearly 40 years. She had been trying to make sense of the route Nathan was driving, but hadn't wanted to say anything. She knew the most direct route would have been I-80 right out of New Jersey and straight across the country. We're going to the game? Yes, we're going. Unless you're no longer a fan. Oh, you know better than that. Thank you, Nathan. Really, thank you. Myrtle picked out a couple shirts and a cap, and they proceeded to the home of Mark and Evelyn Rutherford. Let's just go on in for now, and I'll come and get our bags later, said Nathan. Nathan was reaching toward the doorbell when the door was flung open and he was engulfed in a crushing bear hug. Mark was 6'4", weighed every bit of 245, and all of it was solid. He had played football in high school and then again at the University of Cincinnati. He had hoped to play in the NFL, but a knee injury in his senior year put an end to that. Apparently he was still keeping in good shape, Nathan thought, as he was trying to catch his breath. Good to see you, buddy, said Mark as he mercifully pulled back. Has it really been 14 years? And this must be the lovely lady you've told me so much about, as he greeted Myrtle with a courtly bow and a kiss on her hand. Why, aren't you the gallant one? Exclaimed Myrtle. Nathan has told me a lot about you as well. Most of it good, she replied with a wink. Yeah, 14 years. Time flies, doesn't it? Nathan replied. Will you people get in here and sit down before the food gets cold? Came a voice from somewhere inside the house. Mark said we might as well not keep her waiting. Evelyn's been slaving over the stove all day. They all made their way into the dining room and were seated. Evelyn had indeed laid out quite a spread. Nathan had not realized how hungry he was, since they had only snacked during the drive from New Jersey, and now the aroma wafting from the table had his mouth watering. On the table was a glazed ham, mashed potatoes, green beans, biscuits, corn on the cob, a bowl of mixed cut-up fruit, and if Nathan's nose did not deceive him, something sweet was in the kitchen waiting to be brought out for dessert. The guests being somewhat famished, conversation was at a minimum for the first few moments, other than, could you please pass me more of those potatoes, and that ham is absolutely scrumptious, and could I interest you in another helping of those beans? They were just picked earlier this afternoon. When they had eaten their fill and Evelyn had cleared the table, Mark said to Nathan, Tempest Games, huh? That's quite a good gig. How'd you manage that one? I went there straight out of college. They weren't quite as big then. Right place, right time, if you ask me. You came along and they released a couple blockbusters. What do you do there anyway? Bit of everything, but my specialty is the AI on single-player games. So I have you to blame then. I haven't been able to get past the 3rd level on Special Forces 2 for the last week. I'm getting my butt kicked. That's because it's a tactical shooter, Mark, not one of those twitchy run-and-gun things that other studios put out every year. The AI just has good tactical awareness, and they're good shots. You have to outthink them. Yeah, whatever you say, you probably just made them hard to annoy people like me anyway. Evelyn came back with dessert plates and a peach cobbler, and while she was serving it out, Mark changed the topic. So, Nate, you seeing anyone? Well, not really. What do you mean, not really? Either you are or you aren't. I've had a couple dates over the years, but nothing that worked out. Sometimes you just can't wait for it to work out, you have to go get it. That's easy for you to say. You never have trouble talking to girls. Well, you'll be 30 before you know it. It's about time you figured it out. It's not really that hard. You just have to say, what the heck, and go for it. Yeah, you'll get rejected a few times, but that's part of the game. I guess you know what you're talking about. Anyway, I'd better go bring in our bags. Dinner was excellent, by the way. Nathan brought the bags in and Mark asked, so you're taking your grandma to the game tomorrow? Yep, 1:10 start time. Good. You guys can go to church with us and I'll drop you at the ballpark, save you the parking. There's a movie out Evelyn's wanting to see and we can catch that at the levee while you guys are at the game. My other work, check out the links in the description below. And if you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that very much. Take care and I'll see you on the next one.